everyone, it's Maureen from the Concord Museum, and this is my example student today. This is Ryan.
Hello.
And Ryan and I are here to help you learn a little bit about colonial clothing in Massachusetts history. And Ryan in particular is going to be showing us the kind of clothing, a typical outfit that a boy or a man would have worn as he went about his life in the colonial period. And when we're looking at Ryan's clothes today, we're really thinking about the middle to the end of the colonial period, so maybe the 1750s or 60s or 70s, heading up to the Revolutionary War period. So, Ryan is 11 years old. He woke up this morning and he was only wearing one of the things that you see here. He was wearing a big puffy blousey shirt. We'll call it his night shirt or just his shirt. And it's a comfortable piece of linen material, very loose, good to sleep in. It's close to his skin, so it can absorb some of his sweat and his dirt, but something that he can sleep in and be very comfortable. When he got up this morning, he kept his shirt on, and he put on his first article of clothing, and that was these guys right here that you can see. Not shorts, not pants, like we know them in the modern era, not long pants, but a garment called breeches, because most men in a lot of places around the world, until about 100 years ago, really wore breeches. These are pants that tend to cut off a bit below the knee, and we'll talk about why, but they look a lot like what Ryan has on here. You'll see that Ryan has lots of buttons holding his breeches on, some on the side, some down at the bottom, a bunch at the top. Of course, we didn't have zippers in the colonial period, so buttons came in handy, and buttons set apart boys' clothing from girls' clothing. Girls spent a lot of time by the fireplace during the day, so they didn't want hot metal buttons on their clothes, but boys working out on the farm wearing a different kind of garment certainly had them. In addition to the buttons holding Ryan's pants on, there's a tie in the back. So I have tied that really tight so that these pants fit Ryan perfectly. They're a bit long, but he probably got these pair of breeches a year or two ago when he was even smaller, so we could tie it up tighter in the back. And as he gets older, these pants grow with him. When he wakes up in the morning, he just doesn't tie them quite as tight as he gets bigger. We had a lot of children in a colonial family. Kids grow fast. We can't afford to replace their clothes every single time they get bigger. So we're going to have garments that last several years. So Ryan's breeches are like that. How do they feel?
A little tight.
A little tight. But can you move and can you bend in them? Yeah, you can squat down. You can climb onto a horse if you needed to. There's actually a lot of looseness in the back of the breeches. And you'll notice Ryan's shirt is very blousy. He's going to be working on a farm, maybe helping his older brothers or his dad, doing lots of intense labor and chores, and so he can't wear a tight, restrictive shirt. That would rip right away. He's got these nice, loose arms and something that's going to work really well for him. He might have, below his breeches, a pair of tall wool socks on and some shoes, or maybe even some boots. We don't do a lot of laundry. We don't want to do a lot of laundry in the colonial period. It takes a lot of work and a lot of water, and so these breeches cut off so that whatever he has below, or if he's out walking around on the farm in the mud, he's not going to get that bottom part of his pants dirty every day. He can't wash his pants tonight. He doesn't have time for that. He has too much work to do. So breeches are useful in that way too. Ryan can't leave the house looking like this, of course. He'd be in a state of undress. So what he has to put on before he can go is his waistcoat. I'm going to help Ryan get this waistcoat on. We might call it a vest these days. Doesn't have any sleeves, and it cuts off around the length of his waist. And you'll see, just like his breeches, the waistcoat has a lot of nice metal buttons on it. This waistcoat is a pretty warm garment. The one he's wearing has some really nice blue wool fabric that would keep him warm. And you might recognize that he's starting to look a little bit like familiar figures that you might know from the colonial period. Paul Revere, in fact, in his famous portrait where he's holding a little teapot, is wearing a shirt and a blue vest just like this, a blue waistcoat just like this. So Ryan's getting close to being able to leave the house, but he needs to do a few more things. He might not get to take a shower or a bath tonight or this week. That takes a lot of work and a lot of water. So if he's going out and doing work on the farm, or he's walking along on some dirt roads, or he's an apprentice in a dirty craft shop, he's going to want to make sure he also covers up his hair, his neck, and he has something he can put around his face to keep it clean, depending on what's blowing around in the air. We have a nice, large, patterned neck cloth for Ryan. And neck cloths could be lots of different colors or patterns. They might be lots of different sizes. And during the colonial period, we saw that the style, the way that the neck cloths were worn, varied quite a bit. So I'm going to tie Ryan's on, less like a cowboy and a little more like an apprentice here, with a tie in the front so that his neck is covered. He can't be attacked by bugs. He's not going to get a sunburn on his neck, especially on the back of the neck if he's out working on the farm all day. And if he's doing something particularly dusty or stinky, he has some fabric he can pull up over his face to keep him covered. Of course, we have to cover his hair as well. It's a very typical covering the boys would have worn as a cap for their head. This is a cap that would be handy if he's doing chores inside the house, he's doing some cleaning or work inside the house, or if he's working inside a craft shop like a tinsmith, or maybe as learning another craft like carpentry. He's going to have something that keeps all of the particles, the wood and the dust and the ash that's blowing around in the air out of his hair. On top of his cap, or maybe instead of his cap, if Ryan's working out on the farm, he's also going to want to wear a hat. You're particular to this style, right? There are a couple of different style hats you might be able to wear. And this one will look familiar to you. How many corners does your hat have? Three corners, tri-corners. This is a tricorn hat. This style became very popular towards the end of the colonial period, but it would have been just as common, perhaps, to see somebody, a man or a boy, wearing a hat with the sides snipped and folded down. These hats all start as a circle, and the benefit of a circular farm hat is that it keeps more sun off your face, it gives you more protection, or it gives you the opportunity to add a little personal style to your outfit. Ryan likes the tri-corner hat. Some men might have worn two sides pulled up, or they might have had just one side pulled up with the brim all around. Ryan, you don't have time to do a lot of laundry. We've discussed that, so you want to try to keep these clothes clean. If you're working as a craftsman's apprentice, you probably would wear a very large apron, maybe a large cloth one if you're a tinsmith, or maybe something made from leather if you're working in a blacksmith shop. That will protect you from the fire. In your case, though, I think you're part of a farming family. So when you head out to help your dad and your brothers on the field, you might grab a giant oversized shirt off a hook near the door, pull it on over this whole outfit, and then if anything splatters up out on the farm, it lands on this farm shirt here. You pull that off at the end of the day, shake it out, hang it back on the hook, and your daily clothes remain a bit cleaner. This is our Colonial Boys outfit. I hope you guys have enjoyed learning about what boys wore during the colonial period, and I hope that we get to see you soon.